You know that moment when somebody asks you a simple question, something that should take only a few seconds to answer, and somehow your mind immediately starts exploring 10 different possibilities at once? Maybe they're asking where you'd like to eat, whether you enjoyed a movie, or what you think about a situation. Most people seem capable of arriving at an answer almost instantly, but for you, the question somehow becomes larger the longer you think about it. You start noticing exceptions, alternative interpretations, hidden variables, and possible consequences. Before long, what began as a simple choice has transformed into something much bigger. For years, many highly intelligent people assume this is just normal thinking. They assume everyone experiences the world this way. Then eventually they discover something surprising. Most people aren't carrying around this level of mental activity every waking moment. And honestly, that's where this topic becomes fascinating. Because when people hear the phrase high IQ, they usually imagine advantages. They picture someone who learns quickly, solves difficult problems, gets impressive grades, and generally navigates life with greater ease than everyone else. Popular culture has reinforced this image for decades: the genius, the prodigy, the gifted thinker who always seems one step ahead. But psychology has been uncovering something much more complicated beneath that stereotype. The truth is that some of the very abilities that make highly intelligent people exceptional can also create challenges that remain almost completely invisible to the people around them. Here's what psychologists have quietly noticed for years. People with extremely high intelligence often don't just think differently, they experience reality differently. Their minds naturally process more information, make more connections, notice more patterns, and ask more questions than average. At first glance, that sounds entirely positive. Who wouldn't want a brain that sees more? But imagine living with that process running constantly. Imagine if every conversation, every decision, and every uncertainty automatically expanded into something much larger the moment it entered your awareness. Suddenly, the advantages begin carrying a hidden cost. Think of it like this. Most people walk into a room and notice what's directly in front of them. A highly intelligent mind often walks into that same room and immediately begins noticing everything around it: the atmosphere, the dynamics between people, the subtle emotional tension nobody is talking about, the possible reasons why someone seems uncomfortable, the implications of what's being said and what's being left unsaid. The mind isn't trying to analyze these things, it simply does, automatically, constantly. And after years of living this way, many intelligent people don't even realize they're doing it anymore. They simply know that they often feel mentally tired in situations that seem effortless for everyone else. Now here's where things become psychologically interesting. Most people assume intelligence naturally produces confidence. It seems logical enough. If you're capable of understanding more, shouldn't you also feel more certain? Surprisingly, psychology often finds the opposite. Highly intelligent individuals frequently struggle with uncertainty more than average, not because they know less, but because they can see more. The more possibilities your mind can generate, the harder it becomes to settle on one conclusion. The more perspectives you understand, the harder it becomes to feel completely certain that your own perspective is correct. Here's the part most people overlook. Extremely intelligent people are rarely overwhelmed because they lack answers. More often, they're overwhelmed because they can see too many. Imagine standing at a crossroads. Most people notice 2 or 3 possible directions. A highly analytical mind notices 20. Then it immediately starts imagining where each path might lead. Which one creates the greatest opportunity? Which one carries the greatest risk? Which one leads to outcomes nobody else has considered? The brain begins running simulations before any decision has been made. While this ability can produce remarkable insight, it can also create a surprising amount of mental exhaustion. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as analysis paralysis, but honestly, that phrase barely captures the experience. From the outside, it can look like indecisiveness. Internally, it often feels like responsibility. Responsibility for seeing possibilities that others don't see. Responsibility for considering consequences that others never notice. Responsibility for trying to make the most informed choice possible. And because the process happens automatically, many intelligent people end up carrying far more cognitive weight than anyone around them realizes. Something subtle happens next, and this is where intelligence starts influencing relationships. Many highly intelligent people develop an unusual sensitivity to patterns in human behavior. They notice contradictions, hidden motivations, and emotional undercurrents. They pick up on what people mean, not just what they say. Over time, this can create an extraordinary ability to understand people, but it can also make social situations surprisingly draining, because while everyone else is simply participating in the conversation, their mind is simultaneously processing layers of information beneath it. This doesn't mean they're antisocial. In fact, many highly intelligent people care deeply about relationships. The problem isn't a lack of interest in people, it's often an excess of awareness. Every interaction contains more information than most people realize. Every conversation becomes richer, deeper, and more mentally demanding. And eventually, that level of processing requires recovery time. This is one reason many highly intelligent individuals genuinely enjoy solitude. Not because they dislike others, but because solitude is often the only environment where the mind finally gets a chance to slow down. And before someone hears that and assumes it sounds lonely, it's important to understand the distinction psychology makes here. Solitude and loneliness are not the same thing. Loneliness is the painful feeling that meaningful connection is missing. Solitude is simply being alone. Many highly intelligent people discover that solitude feels restorative rather than painful. It's where ideas can breathe. It's where thoughts can organize themselves. It's where curiosity can wander without interruption. If these ideas resonate with you, consider subscribing. These conversations tend to attract people who have spent years wondering why they experience the world differently. Sometimes realizing you're not alone in those experiences can be surprisingly meaningful. What's especially fascinating is that many psychologists have found a relationship between high intelligence and intense curiosity. Not curiosity about random facts, curiosity about meaning itself. Why do people behave the way they do? Why do certain experiences affect us so deeply? Why do relationships succeed or fail? The highly intelligent mind rarely stops asking questions. And while this curiosity can lead to extraordinary insight, it can also create a strange feeling that every answer is simply the beginning of another question. This creates another challenge that rarely gets discussed. Many intelligent people spend years feeling misunderstood, not because they're incapable of connecting with others, but because much of what happens inside their minds remains invisible. Friends may see them as thoughtful. Family members may see them as successful, yet internally they may still feel like nobody fully understands the complexity of their experience. So if you've ever felt mentally exhausted by thoughts that never seem to stop, if you've ever struggled to make decisions because you can see too many possibilities, or if you've ever wondered why simple conversations sometimes feel more draining than they should, psychology offers a reassuring perspective. These experiences may not be signs that something is wrong with you. They may simply be natural consequences of a mind that processes more information than average. And perhaps that's the hidden psychology of extremely high intelligence. It's not just about knowing more, it's about carrying a level of awareness that shapes how you experience everything. Relationships, decisions, conversations, emotions, possibilities. The gift isn't simply intelligence itself. The gift is seeing connections that others miss. The challenge is learning how to live peacefully with everything you see. Sometimes understanding a pattern about yourself doesn't solve every problem, but it changes the way you interpret your experiences. And once you recognize this pattern, you start noticing it everywhere. Not as a flaw, not as something that needs fixing, but as a different way of moving through the world. If this video resonated with you, subscribe for more psychology deep dives exploring the hidden patterns behind human behavior. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, consider becoming a member. Your support genuinely helps make these conversations possible.